Zack Snyder, you are tearing me apart. Oh, hi, listener. Thanks for pressing play on this episode of the Jock and Nerd podcast. And, well, it happened. Disney is buying Fox. Yes, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four will return to Marvel, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. We get into every franchise and TV show they've acquired and what it means for fans and the movie industry as a whole. Also, Net Neutrality is dead, Star Wars The Last Jedi is out, and Warner Brothers announces its slate of upcoming DC movies yet again. And I hijack the recommendation segment at the end of the episode to try to turn you on, the listener, to everything from Happy on Syfy, Futureman on Hulu, and even a 30 for 30 documentary.
Jocktastic!
All in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Friday, December 15th, 2017.
Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up. We're jocking, we nerding. We're funny, disturbing. We're jocking, we nerding. We're spoiler alert. Oh yeah. We're jocking, we nerding. We're funny, disturbing. Oh yeah. We're jocking, we nerding. We're spoiler alert.
Hello, what's up, listener? Welcome back to another awesome edition of the Jock and Nerd podcast. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the Nerd.
And he's the Rug Boy. Good earth to your rugs. How's it going?
What's up, dudes? Fuck you.
Fuck you. How's it going?
Rug Boy, what's your drink of choice tonight? You got a little, let me hear the jingle.
Oh, it's almost gone.
Oh, it sounds like Christmas.
I waited for Anthony so long that I finished my drink.
Oh, boy. Rug Boy slammed a fifth of bourbon to get ready for the show, everybody. So
it's on the rocks.
With a little ginger ale, a little watered down. I like it. If you are a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. What do we do here? Well, we geek out about stuff we love, which happens to be comic book and superhero, TV, and movie-related stuff in pop culture, mass media, and boy, do we have a big story to talk about this week on the show. What you're going to get is a bunch of news, and it's going to be in the title. You've probably heard about this Disney Fox deal. Unbelievable. We're going to dig in. We talked a little bit last week. We're going to talk about it some more. And then we'll do maybe a little quick review recommendation, what we've been watching to wrap up the show. And I got some feedback, some messages, some emails to share. But first, I would like to say hello to Spotify listeners. We're new on Spotify. We see you checking us out. You guys, it's cool hanging out on Spotify. It's all like dark background and there's green buttons, very slick user interface. I like being in the Spotify with this.
Have you never used Spotify before?
I'm not really a big Spotify.
No?
I'm
Why?
saying
what do you mean? Why you're not a big Spotify
because I don't
guy?
pay for it. So I will do like the radio, the playlists every now and then, but it's very limiting.
What do you use?
Pandora.
Oh, dude, Pandora? Really?
But which is kind of the same thing. But I don't really, if I want to hear something specific, like I'll just go to YouTube and play it off
wow,
YouTube.
You're real old school.
Frugal. No, I'm cheap is what it is. I would love to pay for Spotify, but I'm saving my money.
$10.
Look, I'm saving my money for the 20 streaming services we are going to have to buy in the future.
Okay, fair
To
enough.
watch all
That's
this
a
stuff.
good point.
No, Disney's buying all of them. Get the fuck
Well,
out of here.
ultimately, you'll only have to pay Disney for everything. That's what's
Right.
going to happen.
Oh, shit.
Give it about 20, 25 years. But what's up, Spotify? And you can also visit the website, jockandnerd.com, for all the other places. You can find us wherever podcasts are found. You will find us there. The show notes, jockandnerd.com/199. You can follow along. Everything we talk about will be in the show notes. And before we get to the news, you guys, I have to issue a huge apology retraction. There was a major error in our last show.
I knew about this.
Major factual error. It's very embarrassing. And this is not the first time I've had to eat my words and be embarrassed on the show. Nothing new.
Why is it that we insult our listeners every show?
Last show, we welcomed a listener by the name of Jess Rivera to our Facebook group. And I continue to speak about this person, just assuming they were a female.
You just wanted him to be a girl.
Yeah, you were wishing he was a girl.
Turns out, listener, Jess is not a girl. He's a man, baby.
Oh, shit.
But he was a very good sport. He actually posted on Facebook. He goes,
Finkel is Einhorn? Einhorn is Finkel?
Where's that from?
Ace Ventura.
Yes. Hey, look, he's Jess. Thanks for being a good sport. He's like, no need to apologize. It happens a lot, actually. To which I was like, okay, great.
You fucking moron.
I love that he thought that he wanted it to be a girl,
Yes.
and I knew it wasn't, but I just let him just continue. I tried to nudge you in the right direction.
You
but it didn't
did ask, and I listened back, and I seemed pretty sure. And hey, look, to my credit, everyone, I could have cut that whole thing out because I figured it out before I posted the show. But no, I'll take the hit. I love being embarrassed. It turns me on. Geek boner.
And you do it so well.
I know.
Yeah.
So here's what, and that takes our confirmed female listenership down to 2 from 3. But hey, you know what it did create is
I know actually a couple females.
There's a couple more.
Show.
But also another positive of this is it encouraged listener engagement. He had to reach out and say that he is a male.
He had to confirm his male.
Boom. I got listeners commenting this. So big lesson is if I want listener engagement, just fucking fuck with our listeners. We got Vitiligo, Dick, Joe Henry, and we got Jess Rivera. And listen to the show, and I will completely think you're the wrong gender. That's the hook of the Jock and Nerd podcast. Let's get to the news.
The Jock and Nerd podcast.
Any other listeners you want to throw under the bus, Imran?
Oh, I have some more coming up right here, listener. If you want to get in touch with us, and I don't know why you would after listening to my apology, visit jockandnerd.com/contact, where you can find our Twitter, our Facebook page, email, SpeakPipe. You can send your voice, and our awesome Facebook group where all the listeners hang out. You can meet other listeners and geek out with like minds. And got to welcome this week new members, Brent Hand, Steve Morrison, and Lisa Morrison. Hold on. These two are also patrons. And
Whoa.
I believe, and I'm probably going to get this completely wrong, I think they are husband and wife. Now, don't ask me which one's the husband and which one's the wife.
They could be
Because
brother
I'll
and sister.
fuck that up. I did a little snooping. I think they're married. Now, Morrison's, if I'm wrong, please write in, and I will embarrass myself again next episode. Tune in. Let's find out. Let's get down to the mystery of the Morrisons. But I want to thank them because Steve Morrison, he's been a patron for a long time. So very awesome to have you on board. Okay, guys, it fucking happened.
I can't believe it.
We've been talking about this for the past month. And last week we went over the pros and cons of Disney Fox buyout. But Jesus Christ, from the New York Times, in a move that will reverberate from Hollywood and Silicon Valley to TVs and smartphones around the world, the Walt Disney Company said Thursday that it had reached a deal to buy most of 21st Century Fox, the empire controlled by Rupert Murdoch, in an all-stock transaction valued at roughly $52.4 billion.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit.
Wow. So Disney bought Marvel for like $4 billion, then they buy Lucasfilm. I think that was also maybe $4 billion. And then just this jump. So I know there's also...
Well, yeah, because Fox, that they're buying a lot more than just one property.
Yes. And actually the actual cost, they're also absorbing some debt Fox has, and the actual cost is like $66 billion.
Disney just bought the stock in the company? Is that basically what happened?
I think they bought... I have to look at it, but from what I remember, they bought enough that they're now controlling stock. I think it's like 60%, which is the controlling power. So they own it.
Why did they make a meeting about it? Couldn't they just bought the stock? Like, why did they have to meet with them?
Well, there was other suitors. I think the reason this happened is Comcast had dropped out. It was between Comcast and Disney. So
maybe it was their stock to sell.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's
so
it's
Fox
not as
was
easy as just buying.
Yeah.
It's not like stock market. It's different.
I mean, this is buying. We'll talk about everything Disney just bought, but we went over the pros and cons, and another con I thought of that I heard this week is that a lot of jobs are going to be lost.
That's a bad one, yeah.
So there are pros and cons. I think there's a little more cons. There's good things about this and bad things about this.
I have my big pro and then a lot of cons.
Yeah, right? There's one big pro and a lot of cons. Now, jobs will be lost because Disney, a lot of these departments are going to be redundant to Disney. They don't need another animation department. They don't need another people driving their trucks around.
Well, that 20th Century Fox studio eventually will probably go away.
Right? Isn't that fucking crazy? And now my concern was, Deadpool was this R-rated hit. They have the Deadpool rights. What are they going to do with it? Bob Iger has come out and said, quote, Deadpool clearly has been and will be Marvel branded, but we think there might be an opportunity for a Marvel R brand for something like Deadpool. As long as we let the audience know what's coming, we think we can manage that fine. That's crazy. That's the first time I've heard someone from Disney say Marvel R brand for anything. It's awesome.
Cool. Let's get into, but before you get into what they've bought.
Yeah.
Just a quick thought for me was I'm excited that Marvel is now has most of its properties.
Yes.
Not all of them.
Almost all of them.
That's a good thing, I think, because I enjoy the MCU.
Yes.
Waiting on my decision on if this is actually good for business, because the Marvel thing is something we care about, but it's a very small portion of this deal in comparison to everything else.
Yeah, this deal is like so much bigger than just Marvel.
And I don't think that was the main motivator.
No.
Clearly, the main...
No, of course not.
The main motivator is Disney has a back catalog. They are the last of the big traditional giant of media. They need to compete with the Amazons, the Netflix, the Apples, streaming. They need a back catalog. They just purchased a fucking giant back catalog.
The issue now is it doesn't really matter what you're on platform-wise. It doesn't matter if you're Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. It just matters what the franchises that you have now. Right. And they bought all the franchises. They bought Planet of the Apes. They bought
It's an IP
everything.
game. Here,
Yes.
okay, so
List them to us,
here's the
Imran.
real thing. Here's every IP Disney just bought. Aliens and Predator, Avatar, Die Hard franchise, The Fantastic Four, Kingsman, The Martian, and he's making another movie called Artemis that's based off of the same writer, Planet of the Apes franchise, the distribution rights for the original Star Wars trilogy. They have the rights from Lucasfilm. The first movie was financed by Fox, so now they can distribute the original trilogy. X-Men, Home Alone, Ice Age, The X-Files, Fight Club, Independence Day, many TV shows, Family Guy, The Simpsons, The Gifted, Legion, American Horror Story, The Orville, NBC's This Is Us, ABC's Modern Family, 24, and Prison Break. And this also gives them 60% stake in Hulu. Another thing to note,
That's crazy
this
too.
isn't going to happen for another 12 to 18 months. It has to go through regulations, antitrust regulators.
Let me read some numbers for you. So as of right now, there is with major film studios.
Yes.
It was Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, Fox, Universal, Sony, and Paramount.
Now that's six.
Viacom. But so Walt Disney Studios owned 26%.
Yep.
Second was Warner Brothers at 16.
Yep.
Third, 13% Fox. So now imagine that. Now you combine that with Disney, they own almost 40% of the major all the market share in the studio business.
And if you are someone who pitches movies, or you are a filmmaker, a writer, you have one less studio to fucking pitch
one
to.
less major one.
One less major studio. So will this encourage smaller, independent, risky content? Possibly. Oh man, there's so many things. So also another interesting note, if the deal is blocked, Disney has to pay Fox $2.5 billion as a fee. A breakup fee. So
why would it not go through? It would be like because of the regulation.
Yes, because the AT&T Time Warner merger has been they've been trying to block that. The Justice Department is trying to slow that down. They don't want that. That's a huge merger. This is another thing. Disney's going to rule the world. It's literally going to be a Disney world. Like everything's going to be Disney. Hold on to that Disney
you
cash.
think it'll get blocked?
I don't know.
I don't know enough, but I don't think so.
I think it would probably if there was less studios, but since there's like 6.
Yeah, there's still, 40% is a big chunk, but you're not controlling everything.
You're not even in the majority.
But what if they don't stop at Fox? What if they want to buy Paramount next? Then what if they want to buy Warner Brothers? What if they end up buying all of them one by one?
I think once they get to a tipping point.
Where do you stop them? My other thought is Feige must have had fucking plans for this. He must have known,
I noted that when you first said
right?
this.
If this ever happened, I bet he's got contingency fucking plans.
I'll say, remember when we first talked about this, I was like, two things.
Yeah.
Feige saying that they've got 20 movies planned after Avengers. Like, Really? You have 20 movies? Oh, wait, now that makes sense. You have X-Men and Fantastic Four things you can do now.
However, even before in that article we read, they said Marvel has 7,000 characters without this deal.
Yeah, but come on, Imran. We're not fools.
They're not huge.
Of course, knows about this. Yeah. The second thing was the Disney thing, trying to create their own streaming service.
Yeah.
You don't do that unless you buy a shit ton of properties and you buy Hulu. Already has it.
This is like a master stroke move there.
Yeah. I mean, what's going to happen to Hulu? They have the infrastructure.
They own it. It's going to probably stay Hulu.
Yeah.
But then they just own it.
And they can...
they don't have to do all that work and make their own
would they convert Hulu
service
to their streaming service, or just Hulu is the streaming service now?
I would just keep it. Hulu is the brand.
Because you have a built-in audience already.
Right.
You have a subscriber base. But they also want to do like an ESPN service, so they may create that separately. But really, your plan to launch something by 2019, make it Hulu. So Fox gave up everything but their news and their sports. So Fox Sports is fine, and Fox News is fine.
Well, they're sports, but I think they get their regional sports networks. They can use that to promote Disney stuff.
And the Murdochs have like a stake in Disney.
Yeah, the Murdochs now have a stake in Disney.
This is all fucking shady corporate bullshit. I don't know. See, this is where it makes me really scared and worried. Okay, look, I got more questions.
You can't stop it, Imran. It's going to happen.
No, and this is like we are looking at a dystopian corporate-run future that we've seen in TV shows. Like, it's crazy. Fucking happening. It's like Idiocracy and Terminator are both like coming true.
I know.
Holy shit. Here's another pro for Disney, though. They also purchased Fox Searchlight, which has gotten many award-winning, Oscar-winning movies. Like, Disney doesn't really win a lot of Oscars if you think about it. They don't really have a lot.
Pro for Disney. I see nothing but pros for Disney.
Yeah, I mean, the con is for the general movie-going audience and the industry itself.
Yeah, media mass market.
Yes, for the industry.
For the creative diversity and all that.
Will we get less movies, or will these movies show up somewhere else? Okay, so, more questions. What about these planned X-Force, Gambit, Multiple Man? New Mutants is coming out, but remember Josh Boone said, I'm making a trilogy of horror tribute movies. There was going to be an X-23 spinoff. All this is probably dead now.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
It could be. Listen, Disney wants to make money. I don't think that they are opposed to putting up a different banner up and watching like movies that are R-rated under that banner. We talked about that last week.
Like the Deadpool. You're right. They're not dumb. This movie made for $68 million, made like $700 million.
Yeah, as Ruggs said, man, they want to make money. I don't see them running to make a multiple man movie now,
right?
Per se.
Yeah,
because why would you when you have
they should scrap that immediately?
James Franco,
like, why would you when you can say, oh, we have now our own Wolverine. Oh, now we have our own Doom. We have our own Professor X.
Speaking of Doom, Dr. Doom could be like the best fucking big bad villain the MCU has ever seen that it needs.
Well, they got Galactus. They got everything.
They got everything.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's great for the MCU for sure. I think. I don't know if it's great for the overall film industry, but it's cool to see that.
It's great for corporate America moving forward. What about how do you reboot the X-Men? Do you reboot the X-Men? Before I was like, you got to get Jackman back. I kind of don't want to see him back as Wolverine. I want them to recast Logan for the MCU. I think that if not everybody.
You have the Infinity Wars,
yes,
and you have the ability to change space-time and whatever. So you can reset the whole universe if you want after that.
You could introduce...
and start fresh.
Yeah, you could introduce mutants by like Thanos fucking around with time or something.
Yeah, and you could just start the whole entire universe over.
Because otherwise, how do you explain...
and recast everybody if you want.
How do you explain where these mutants have been for like the last 10 years?
No, you don't. You just... however they decide to put the universe back together after Thanos dismantles it is what happens. And then you just go with it at that point.
So could we see something in Avengers 4? I feel like they can...
I do think we're going to get that.
Just like a Crisis or a Flashpoint can change everything in one shot.
Yes.
This is like their Flashpoint. You can do it with the Gauntlet.
Shit, and if he knew this was coming, man, that's so crazy. So what about X-Men Dark Phoenix? We saw photos. It's their second shot at this Dark Phoenix, and it's in production. Would they just kill that right now or let that come out? I feel like since this is going to take a year to 18 months to pan out, They can watch what happens with New Mutants, Deadpool, Dark Phoenix.
And that's the smart move, I would say, is you watch how fans react to all this stuff, and then you kind of pivot from there. Because although where you have kind of criticized Dark Phoenix, it's still going to have Jennifer Lawrence and Sophia Turner and all those characters. Those
Fassbender, McAvoy.
They're all still popular characters and still popular actors and actresses.
People will go to see this. So, nothing's going to happen right away. This is going to take time. But could we in the future see like a crazy fucking crossover like Darth Vader versus Wolverine versus Iron Man?
Geek boner.
They could literally shove everything. You know what else is funny? Remember that Patton Oswalt bit?
You're getting crazy there, Imran.
The Patton Oswalt bit from Parks and Rec where he pitches, he's filibustering and he pitches this crazy movie. Like they could actually make that movie now. They have all those the rights to all those characters.
They could. I don't see them doing that.
What do you guys want to see? This has happened. What, like, personally, what would you like to see?
Like, what do you mean? Like a Disney version of Home Alone or what?
No, what in terms of the MCU, now that they can play with all these characters, like, where?
Well, you could do the original Secret Wars.
Do Avengers versus the X-Men.
Yeah, Avengers versus X-Men. You're talking about these big crossover fucking things. I don't want to see any of those, to be honest with you. I would like to see, though, stories where, the X-Men could be involved, or some of the X-Men's guests in the other people's movies.
You know how, what about,
do that.
What about, how Tony sold the Avengers Tower in Spider-Man Homecoming, and Feige has said the sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming is the first movie after Avengers 4. Maybe it's the Baxter Building now. Maybe Reed Richards bought the fucking building.
Interesting. I would like to see two things right off the bat. I'd like to see a good Fantastic Four movie. I would also like to see an X-Men movie that isn't revolving around Wolverine.
Interesting. They're going to want to shove Wolverine in as quick as possible.
You can have him in there, but he can work well in an X-Men movie as like a Hulk, like just like a force of nature that's running through shit.
And I agree, they need to.
And then you can expand upon him later.
They need to address the Fantastic Four first, but I think you don't do that as a movie. I think that needs to be like a show. I think it would work better over a serialized, 10 episode. I disagree
100%.
Really?
I think they should stay away from the Fantastic Four as a movie, as a series, as any kind of temple.
Okay,
it's dead. Really? It's dead in the water.
Three times they tried to reboot this fucking thing.
It's archaic and it doesn't work no matter what you do. So you relegate them to background characters and guest stars in the movie, just like people who come in, like you're watching Civil War and Ant-Man's there. Or all of a sudden, you introduce the Black Panther in there in Civil War. And then if they have enough popularity, then you give them a single
That's not
movie.
bad.
Well, you could introduce them backdoor through a Black Panther movie because Black Panther, I think he was introduced through the Fantastic Four. I'm not sure, actually. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, they're both kind of scientists. You could do they relate.
There is plenty of ways to put in the Black Fantastic Four into something in the background.
I just don't think they should get their own movie. That time is over.
No, it's not. It's not going to work. Here's a crazy idea. This is something I was like, I would love to see a Marvel team-up movie series where they're standalone films, and it's Spider-Man, just like the comic book. It was Spider-Man and just another random hero having like a standalone adventure. Like how fucking sick would that would be cool. And that way you could introduce a lot of characters through the eyes of Spider-Man.
You could do that too.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I like to see Marvel team up.
Marvel team would be great. Listener at Verum Libertas on Twitter, here's his pitch. Disney buying Fox demands this Avengers 4 post-credit scene. Setup, Thanos has been defeated. The Marvel Universe has been restored back to the way it was. Well, almost. Clearly, some things are not quite the same. We see a shot of the Avengers team at headquarters, training new recruits. Maybe some of these are familiar mutants. The camera pans over to Deadpool. Deadpool says, where the shit am I and who the Before he can finish the sentence, Cap stops him, so the last part is cut off. This is a Disney movie after all. Captain America says, language. That's kind of funny. But I don't think you could put Deadpool in I think Deadpool has to be separate in its own, like, Marvel Dark Max something.
Here's the thing about that Deadpool movie that came out. It was kind of like acknowledging the Disney MCU, because remember that final battle was like something that kind of looked like a helicarrier.
Yeah. He was subtly saying, tying it in already.
Acknowledging. Yeah, so like it was already kind of tying in.
That's true. they're gonna. That's fun. I just hope Ryan Reynolds isn't like. I mean, he's clearly telling right now, like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. Like, he's making his movie. It'll be so interesting to see what conversation they have.
I think Ryan Reynolds is a smart man, and he knows that Deadpool showing up with like Robert Downey Jr.
would be even bigger.
Is
huge.
Yeah,
would be huge. Also, The Simpsons predicted this 19 years ago. One of the many things The Simpsons have predicted. Season 10, 1998, there's a screenshot. It says 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Company.
Oh, shit.
From 1998. They're very good.
They predicted this?
They predicted this. I'll put this screenshot in the show notes. Almost 20 years ago. They also called Donald Trump becoming president and a bunch of other things. But really, the percentage Disney is like, it's going to run half of this fucking
I want to hear,
industry.
Rug Boy, what do you think? I mean, overall, this obviously we're talking about MCU, but like overall, what are your thoughts on Disney buying Fox?
Well, I do think that I am leery of them owning all of these intellectual properties, including Marvel. I think that the Marvel thing makes the most sense because they're basically trying to assemble their universe back to like, wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
And with that there, they can kind of start to do things. The problem is now they're kind of doing it retroactively because like they couldn't start, from day one with all these characters.
Yeah.
And kind of so now like all these things like mutants, for example, like where were they all this whole time?
Right.
So it's going to be awkward in a lot of ways unless they do something that changes the timeline. And that will get everybody in an uproar.
Look, Feige is a fanboy, though. You got to trust him. And everything so far has been pretty organic.
I mean, like, look, it presents some interesting challenges for them creatively to do it. The Deadpool thing and the R-rated movies and the diversity that we had, I do think it's going to go away because you could see that Disney is streamlining these characters to make them more palpable. Like Homecoming, like, really, like, took all of the angst out of Spider-Man, all of his problems and foibles, and kind of, like, ironed them out to make him cute and fun. And, basically Thor's now funny. So all of these things that are, like, not central to the character are being discarded to make them kind of more likable. And that's going to happen with everything that Disney owns because Disney's not in the business or never really was in the business of being controversial. They do have an adult like label that they can use to hide stuff. But I think that as a whole, like the general gist of it is that they're going to do what they did to Homecoming. They're going to do the same thing they did with Thor. They're looking at broad mass market appeal, things that's going to appeal to China, things that's going to appeal across the globe. I don't know if that means more diversity in ideas or even in diversity in casting, because I feel like that the Chinese market doesn't really like that much diversity.
They just want to see white people
for some reason.
Yes.
So I mean, it's crazy. So like this is super global thing, and they're making all these moves. So I don't know how it's going to pan out.
They're going to rule
I really don't know.
the world.
Yes.
Can you imagine walking into like Walt Disney World in like about 10 years and they have rides and theme parks with
everything,
all of this?
Yes, everything.
Like a Star Wars section,
Planet of the Apes over here. You got
Marvel,
and they already have an Avatar fucking
Avatar.
ride.
Yeah, they
land.
have everything.
You got Star Wars land. You're gonna have like
Simpsons.
You can jump out of the building like in Die Hard. You can go to the house, the Home Alone,
crazy,
and
man.
fucking knock down.
Kids are gonna have a great time. You're gonna have to pay $500 to walk into Disney World.
Shit,
yeah,
dude.
but they own everything. Does that make you a little scared? They own all this stuff.
Listen,
it is a little scary.
I recommend if anybody has Disney cash from the parks, hold on to it because that may become legal currency at some point.
It's like, how would you react if like what I said was going to happen? Like Warner Brothers bought all the Marvel's characters, or even Disney bought all the DC characters.
And Disney may end up buying Warner Brothers. That could happen now. Anything's possible now if this happened.
Like in a world where Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse can hang out.
They're not, they're not competitor. Man, it's crazy. But what you said, Ruggs, is the thing that scares me the most is that the risks Fox has been taking with these X-Men characters has been fantastic. We are so lucky to have gotten Logan and Deadpool when we did, because I don't know, we would never have gotten Logan if it was under Disney. And and that still holds up as like one of the best superhero movies of the year. Now they've seen the cash flow with Deadpool, so that's gonna do. They're looking at that, but they're just we're gonna lose the risk. We're gonna lose the risky choices.
Well, yeah. Have you ever watched the Disney Channel?
No, it's got to be mind-numbing. I know it's very...
It's like, wow. Every time I end up catching it for some reason or another, the Disney Channel, I get very afraid of the future. Oh my God. It's like a world where it's a world where people that are older than like 13 years old
there's no
are
adults.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, there's no adults. Kids
They're irrelevant.
rule. Everything is bright and loud. There's toys and candy
that's
everywhere.
the way it should be.
Yeah. The kids are just running wild and
They
these
should run the world.
sanitized
It's our
sitcoms.
future.
It's irrelevant. It's crazy.
That's going to be the future. So, but
why do you think they do that? Why do you think that they don't install a parental, authority? Because they want to be the authority.
They're telling the kids what to do.
That's a scary fucking thing.
Yeah. It's subtle manipulation and propaganda spreading. It's
Absolutely.
very good. Very well done. But I still, man, this is like, we would joke about this happening, and in a year, that deal could be done. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's going to happen. I don't think it'll be blocked.
Once the rumors came out, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure, but whenever those rumors start coming out like that, there's
everyone called
shit
it. They're
going
like,
on.
It's just one thing when they were going to buy Marvel back.
Yeah.
Right.
But now they own fucking everything.
Yeah, we were just talking about them getting the rights to their characters that they had to sell in the 90s to stay afloat.
When this information came out, that all of this shit, my jaw dropped to the floor.
Disney doesn't fuck around. They're like, fuck that. We'll buy everything. We just don't want Marvel. In fact, Marvel is the least of our worries. The
one thing I want to point out is that Fox News remains independent, though. They're like, fuck you. We're not giving you that.
You know what? And they're probably going to double down on their insanity after this because that's all they got. And it's just they're gonna blow it out.
They own, can you imagine, like 20th Century Fox, Fox TV, National Geographic.
Yep, National Geographic. Yep. FXX.
India's Star TV.
Yep.
Controlling stake in Hulu, Europe's Sky TV.
They got some European.
And the ability for ESPN to use Fox's regional sports networks as a promotional platform.
I mean, the more you really think about this is fucking huge.
Huge.
We've not seen a merger like this.
You know why?
You know why
it's huge?
Yeah.
It was $52.4 billion.
Yes.
That's unfathomable
and how
amount
do
of
they
money.
just have like, here's $50 billion. We got it. We set it aside. It's not going to hurt us. Fuck.
Oh well, they're not saying that. They're saying this money, this $52.4 billion, will be worth trillions.
Oh, they're going to turn it into a trillion easily.
They're flipping that.
I mean, for example, the $4 billion investment at Marvel has netted them over $10 billion now.
Right.
So they're going to double, triple this. Insane.
I mean, they have to make all these properties, good and relevant and things that people want to see again. But
get ready for a Mickey Mouse surveillance camera in every house watching your every move. And instead of Siri, it'll be Mickey. Be like, hey, Mickey, what's the weather? And it'll be on your phone, everything. It will be a Disney World.
There will be a Disney World.
Holy shit. Okay, so also Banner Day, what was that? Thursday, December 14th was a huge day for two reasons. That being one of them. The other huge thing that kind of, these two things will collide is the repeal for net neutrality vote. Net neutrality is dead. Now, I don't know how many people know about net neutrality have been following this.
I heard that there's already action underway to repeal that.
Well, everybody is suing, basically.
Right.
So
this is going to get tied up for a bit.
So for the listener, this was introduced in 2015 under the Obama administration. Net neutrality, the basic principle that prohibits internet service providers like AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon from speeding up, slowing down, or blocking any content, applications, or websites you want to use. Net neutrality is the way the internet has always worked.
Can I explain it the way I read it on the internet?
Yes.
Chloe Bennett stated this. She's like, she stole it from someone, but just imagine it like this. You want to order your favorite pizza.
Yeah.
So you decide to use the internet to call Domino's.
Yeah.
But Pizza Hut is paying the internet provider.
Yes,
so they're telling people, anyone that goes to Domino's, fucking shut down their internet.
And
now you got to buy Pizza Hut.
Dude, and that is a benign...
Stop fucking with our pizza.
That's exactly right. But that's like a benign example. Imagine this. You have an ISP that is a very conservative-leaning ISP. Fox News on the homepage comes up fine, very fast. But if you want to go to any other news site, you got to pay for an extra fucking package to check anything else out. Like, shit like that can happen. So this vote...
It's unfathomable stuff because we never had to deal with it.
No, and that's the thing. And so the FCC chairman...
paying for things. We're going to have to pay for things.
I mean, we pay for internet service. The ISPs are getting their money. We already pay for internet. It should be free. The guy doing this is FCC chairman Ajit Pai. And what gets me is...
what is the benefit? Why are they doing this?
Because ISPs...
Is it a money thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a money thing, but what's the pitch so that people are like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. We should do this.
For the companies, the ISPs, they will be able to so if ISPs and content providers get together, this is where it gets tricky because there's going to be like a fast lane and a slow lane of the internet, and they can charge people. They've already done this in certain countries in Europe. They're going to make more money because will pay for a social media package. You'll have to pay for a YouTube fee. You will have to pay for Facebook and another fee for this website. And so companies can sway ISPs by being like, look, I'm going to give you all this money. You make sure my website's really fast and maybe slow down our competitor over here. And the ISPs can do whatever they want. Like we will be at their mercy of bandwidth. It's really a bandwidth. It'll be a bandwidth issue. And if this happens, you will see it in the mobile plans first, so it's kind of like on your mobile phone where you got a cap and then it sends you a text.
Well, they can also ban apps.
Yes. They could
say, we no longer going to accept Sling because Sling is actually taking a lot of the cable companies, business away. And the cable companies own a lot of these ISPs now.
Yep.
And they're like, you know what? If you use Sling, you can't use that app anymore. Fuck you. You're going to have to pay to use that
app. That's the issue, giving all the ISPs all this power. When the ISPs become content providers, it becomes very unfair. Now, look, if this happens, this will affect everyone listening to this right now. Everyone listening to my voice. This will affect you. Imagine the future. Oh, want to listen to free podcasts? That's another fucking charge on your internet bill because it's streaming. It's taking a lot of bandwidth. You're going to have to pay more.
The question that I ask you is that why do you think, overwhelmingly, the public does not want this to happen? How does it even get, everybody knows the public is against it. There's been multiple people calling in and bothering their representatives and this and that and saying that they don't want this.
All the states are suing. All the states are suing now.
Who wants this? So, nobody wants it. So how do they get this to pass?
Yeah,
that's the money of the lobby. All right?
Yeah.
That's lobby money.
That is lobby money will force this through. Also, here's the sketchiest part. This is the thing that gets me the worst. The fucking guy doing this, FCC chairman Ajit Pai, he's a brown guy, and it's not
your people.
Exactly. It's not to be racist. It's to say he's one of us. He's an Indian. He's one of my people. Was a CEO, ex-CEO of Verizon, corporate shill, put in this position to fucking break this up and destroy the internet. I have a photo in here. This guy drinks out of an oversized Reese's peanut butter cup mug.
That's real?
Yes, that's his fucking mug. This guy's an asshole.
It looks like it's photoshopped.
No, that's his actual.
Can't be that big.
No, that's his actual mug. It's in many videos. He put out a YouTube video, kind of mocking the whole thing, going like, "Oh, what's going to happen?" He's like, "You'll still be able to post cat memes. You'll still be able to order food." And they put out this weird video with green screen and him acting like a fucking fool.
Well, I'm reading this article now. Yay for being prepared. It says here,
homework.
Major telecom companies like AT&T and Comcast, as well as two of the industry's major trade groups, have promised consumers that their experiences online would not change.
Well, that's what they said.
Which is what they're saying now, yes.
Netflix has said they're fighting
right now,
it too.
it's very unclear what's going to happen.
Yes. And so this also has to go through Congress, I believe. So it could be shot down, and hopefully it is, because we are living in an age of unbelievable freedom on the internet, and this will probably end that. And also,
Netflix is real pissed off.
Netflix is fighting back. All the states are suing. This other article I'll post in here. It's like how net neutrality will affect me. It also cites it doesn't help decrease poverty. Like, it'll increase poverty when only rich people can afford access to job sites and internet to post jobs. It's going to cut out a lot of people. There's also been a movement to like give internet to inner cities and lower income neighborhoods. That's probably going to get all fucking kiboshed if this happens. Small businesses are going to get hurt because you, as a little cupcake store down the street, you're not going to have enough money to compete with the Sara Lee ad and website that's getting pushed to everyone because they're fucking Sara Lee. There's nothing good about this.
Seems
the
like
only thing good is that the fucking ISP companies are going to be rich as fuck.
Yes, and they're already fucking raping us. They're throttling your internet. I know Wes Anderson from Australia wrote about how the Australian internet is not very good. And he's just like, at least you guys have fast internet. But I know in other countries, the internet is way 10 times faster. Like they throttle, put a cap.
We could be North Korea.
Where you could have nothing, no electricity. You could have
when all the porn goes away.
So this is my point.
People will be rioting in the streets.
You want to talk about the next fucking American Revolution? When you take away free porn, here's where it gets real, motherfuckers. Imagine your Pornhub is now a price. You can't get to your porn. This is when the people will rise up. This is when pitchforks will revolt. The militias will join together and they will take down
That's
the
what's
tyranny.
holding the fabric of this country together, this secret porn.
It really is. But, dude, as ironic and hilarious, it's totally possible that free porn going down could be the next fucking revolution. I can totally see that happening. We live in that ridiculous of a world where that could absolutely happen.
I dream of a world where you have to actually go back to the old days and steal porno from like the liquor store.
That's what's going to happen. We're going to have to go back to magazines and books. Do you want to do that? And as for what you could do, listener, I don't know. I think you could write your congressman. There's fucking links. Look it up. I'll find something. Call people. Just get this giant oversized cup drinking asshole to not do this. That's really his mug. All right, look, let's take a break. I got to calm down. We'll play some promos.
Yeah, breathe, man.
I got worked up, and we will come back with more news and reviews.
I just can't believe how big that coffee cup is.
It's huge.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll get you back to your podcasty goodness now in a minute.
First, we'd like to take a second to tell you about our marginally better podcast, the 365 Flicks podcast.
I am the Scottish Whedon whore, Chris.
And I am the Pissy X video store clerk, Kev.
And we bring you the latest movie and TV news, reviews, and rants.
All that and a bunch of top fives that you really will not care about.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Libsyn, and all other third-party podcasting apps.
And on top of all that, you'll get free access to our indie talk. You'll hear us speaking with directors, producers, actors, comic book creators, and artists about their experiences.
Don't forget to drop us 5 stars and follow us on the Facebooks and the Twitters.
Told him not to go in the water.
Do you like superheroes? Do you like movies, television shows, and comic books? Do you like listening to a guy rant about these things for hours on end? Well, then you're in luck, because you need to check out Podcapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. Featuring me, Scott James Meridew, we'll be talking about a variety of geek and nerdy issues, joined each week by a rotating panel of guests that will try to contain me. Jokes on them, I cannot be contained. So please join us on Podcapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape, where superheroes go to relax, but I never do. Cue the music!
Hello, this is Storycrafter Mike from the Steamrollers Adventure Podcast, and you're listening to
the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Hey, Michael, between the two of us, I think I am the jock.
You're actually more like Rug Boy.
Nope, I am totes the jock.
Okay, then who are the Pittsburgh Steelers?
A marauding band of aliens who use giant laser cutters to carve off a slice of Pennsylvania to take back to their home world.
Hey, Rug Boy, if you ever want to come moonlight on our show, we just had an opening.
What?
Jock and Nerd.
Listener, if you have been enjoying the show and you want more show, and you want to fight net neutrality, here's what you got to do.
Email us.
Sign up to our fan club at jockandnerd.com. Yes, that one. jockandnerd.com/Patreon, where you will be helping us out. We will fight net neutrality for you, and you will get access to a bonus exclusive RSS feed.
We are on the front lines, me and Imran.
Yes, before.
Rug boy
because
at our feet.
Because before yesterday, Anthony didn't even know what net neutrality was.
No.
So now everyone knows. But join the fan club. More show. You'll be helping us out. jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Happy Star Wars Last Jedi Day, everybody.
Geek Boner.
It's out.
Today's the official release day, of course. It was out last night. And I was for a split second going to see it, but man, Thursday everything was fucking sold out except for like the 5 a.m., 2 a.m. shows. It must have been crazy. The reaction
5 a.m.
Yeah, there was like some weird time.
5 a.m. shows? What the fuck?
Maybe it was 2. There was like a 1 or 2, maybe not 5.
That's weird.
So of course everyone's reactions, reviews are out. I think it's very interesting because there was a lot of positive stuff leading up to it, but then I talked to a couple people at work who were really looking forward to this movie, like super geeked out, and they saw it Thursday, and then today I asked them, and they were like, I don't know. Like,
it needs jokes like Thor had.
Apparently it's pretty humorous.
Really?
That's what I heard. Surprisingly humorous. But the one dude who was super hyped is a huge Star Wars fan. He's like, he wasn't blown away. He goes, I don't know. There were some things about the storytelling. I think he said like he wasn't used to Rian Johnson's directing since J.J. Abrams had set it up. Maybe it's too different. Anyways, looking at the scores already, Rotten Tomatoes has it at certified fresh, 93%, average rating 8.2.
It's pretty solid.
Pretty good.
On Metacritic, it's 86. Here is the weird thing. Critic number, 93%. Audience score, 56%.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Right? That's interesting.
That's interesting.
What does that mean?
You don't see that very often.
No, this is like a flip of the Justice
Usually
League
see
numbers.
the audience liking
Yes.
something way more than the critics.
Yes, Justice League was like 40 critics, 80 audience. This is like the reverse. So what does that tell you right away? Does that tell you anything? What can you deduce from that?
They made a movie that Star Wars fans weren't expecting.
Yeah, maybe too crazy and different, but that's kind of exciting for me. Looking at the box office, here it is. Disney and Lucasfilm Star Wars The Last Jedi is soaring to a huge $200 million debut in North America after nabbing a near record $45 million in Thursday previews.
Oh, shit.
Based on early returns. So on Friday, they're estimating it can earn anywhere from 95 to 100 million. They're saying this thing will have a $400 million opening weekend worldwide. 200 here, 200
It can happen.
international. That's crazy.
People love them Star Wars, man.
Force Awakens nabbed 119 million on its first day.
Wow.
And it made 247.9.
And they think this will make 400 million in the first weekend.
That was domestic. 247 domestic opening weekend.
Oh, are they saying 400 million
worldwide?
Worldwide.
Both,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
It could happen.
Force Awakens made 57 million in the Thursday night previews.
Yeah, so it's not going to beat Force Awakens.
See, I don't think it could beat Force Awakens because that was the first after a long time.
Right.
There was so much hype. And now we're getting one every year, but still.
And it was a fan service movie.
It was very fan service, but for them to estimate 200 million domestic opening weekend, that's amazing.
It's solid.
That's solid. We'll try to get a review. I'm going to see it on Monday.
I'll see it next week.
I did not want to go through the craziness of the opening weekend for this one.
It was just hard to find stuff.
Yes, and I have to stay away from spoilers, which may be hard. But
yeah,
hopefully,
it made you hard.
It made me. Yeah, it made me hard. It made me very hard. Maybe hopefully we'll see. We
strange, man.
Get a review in next week. I'm excited.
Weird
it made
fetish,
me
dude.
hard.
That's strange, man.
Woo, made me hard. Here's the other thing that made me soft. No, it didn't make me soft. There's Brazil Comic-Con also happened this week. Apparently, this is like a really big Comic-Con now. Like they announced things I did not know. They announced a lot of cool shit, interesting shit. Warner Brothers, for like the second time this year already, has announced, here's what we're doing now. Even though you've announced shit.
And it sounds completely different than the last thing that they announced.
Even though San Diego Comic-Con, you're like, okay, here's our films. They're like, no, here's our film. So they showed a bunch of title cards in their presentation. Wonder Woman 2 was the first one to be showed. Then Aquaman, Flashpoint, Suicide Squad 2, Shazam, Batgirl, Green Lantern Corps, The Batman, and Justice League Dark. Justice League Dark, of all things.
So the most noteworthy thing is Flashpoint.
So, yes, this is smart. If they do, Aquaman's coming out, and Wonder Woman, just leave it. And Anthony, I did finally watch Movie Bob's thing, the 2-part thing. I put links in the show notes.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Really good. And he makes a great point. You do Flashpoint as soon as you can, and you can just reset everything and leave Wonder Woman alone. She's fine.
I liked his idea for Flashpoint, too. It was basically, this film needs to be a fucking wacky ass comedy.
Yes, that's
you're
right.
Just playing around with the different time eras, and then he was like, and this is where you kind of introduce the fact that Christopher Reeves, Superman,
all of them,
and Michael Keaton, Batman, and all that actually exists in this world. And
you could put Grant Gustin in it, you know?
Yeah.
And then maybe Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Looking at these movies, I mean, Flashpoint obviously makes sense because they want to fucking reboot this whole goddamn thing.
Yes.
Suicide Squad 2, we didn't like Suicide Squad, but made a lot of money. Shazam's already, they have The Rock, so they have to do something.
That's in production.
Batgirl, Joss Whedon. Green Lantern Corps, very risky, because that last Green Lantern was terrible.
But they could make like a space buddy fantasy.
Yeah, they could definitely make something awesome. Yeah. That's a property that actually could be really great. The Batman, they already have a director. Justice League Dark.
Out of nowhere. Justice League Dark. Nowhere. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's a tough sell.
Plus, Henry Cavill is contracted for one more movie. What are you going to do with him? You can just leave him hanging there? Yeah, we need these standalone movies. These team movies. Don't do the team movies. What are you doing? What about a Cyborg movie? None of that stuff. All that stuff is gone.
Yeah, so is what Cyborg, Deathstroke.
Doesn't he go into Flashpoint? Henry Cavill, and they could just
they could put him in Flashpoint.
And that's allegedly Batfleck's last appearance.
All these movies, so Cyborg, Deathstroke, Gotham City Sirens, Harley Quinn, Joker versus Harley Quinn, Nightwing, standalone Joker movie, Justice League 2, not on that list.
Not on that list. I did hear there may be some casting news for Nightwing early next year, but I don't know. Again, they don't know. I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
This is a sidebar.
Yeah.
Did you see the images of Hawk and Dove?
Oh, I did. The same show that we looked at, the Dick Grayson Robin image. Did you like the Hawk and Dove image any better? Let's pull this up.
It was. I don't know if I like it, but I saw it.
I'm looking at it now.
It's very. I mean, it looks like that would be something on the CW shows. It's very comicsy looking.
Yeah, well, it's a TV. Yeah. It is a TV show.
Yeah.
It's a better image than the Nightwing one.
Yeah, it's a little better lit. I mean,
do you think they should? I mean, they're going all out with the costumes. They're not like playing.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna do Starfire, like this is where Cyborg should have been in this show, and you should have had a fucking lantern in the Justice League. I don't know why you put the Cyborg over there, but this, I mean, if they show more of these characters, this could definitely gonna pay for this fucking streaming service.
I gotta see it in action.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that Minka Kelly?
Minka Kelly, and I forget who the other guy is. Also, Suicide Squad 2 is going to start production 2018. Flashpoint movie. They don't have a director, but do that one right away. Reset everything. And then DC will buy you, and it won't matter anyways. Moving on, we got a...
DC or Marvel?
Disney. Sorry, Disney will buy DC, and...
Disney will buy DC.
Disney will buy
imagine
itself.
That if Disney, once they buy DC...
That would be like... Supreme monopoly.
Yeah, I don't think the government would allow
I'm already
that.
in the mode of it's going to happen.
Right.
They're going to buy Warner Brothers.
If they have $50 billion to buy Fox, they could buy anything.
Why did they buy Image yet? That's what I want to know. They can't.
They give no fucks about Image.
Who owns Image? The creators.
Yeah, who does
the creators still own Image, I believe.
No, do they?
No, everybody owns their own shit there.
Yeah.
So they have to go individual each person. They can't just buy.
They'd have to buy.
The company doesn't own the characters.
Right. They'd have to buy the rights from each of the creators.
Right.
Right.
Who is in charge?
Okay, here it is. So, Wildstorm, along with Imprint, Homage, and America's Best Comics, is now part of DC. Creator-owned means exactly that. owned by the original creator. The majority of comics and graphic novels published by Image are creator-owned. So yes, you guys are right.
And then all those creators, they have their own little studios and labels.
That's just too much of a
like Kirkman has his own thing. Right, there's no way. That's great for them.
That comic label will remain pure.
Yeah, that's great for them. And then if they wanted, they're gonna have they can ask for a big payday. They also
each of those guys can.
Yeah, they can make a shit ton of money. Also at Brazil Comic Con, we got a trailer for that animated Miles Morales movie coming out next year.
I saw that.
It is called Spider-Man, and here's what I didn't know: Into the Spider-Verse. Holy shit!
Geek boner.
I fucking love this trailer. It reminds me of Akira. It's Lord and Miller producing. One of them wrote it. Dude, it's fucking sick. The colors, the backgrounds are beautiful. You get to see Miles Morales, and at the very end, you see Peter Parker, and he's like, "So how many of us are there?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" It looks gorgeous. I love it. I don't care what you guys think. What'd you think?
I don't care what you guys.
I'm so excited for this.
Do you like that they're basically like there's a million Spider-Men in this universe?
Yes, let's do it. I know Ruggs hates that. That is a Dan Slott creation.
I'm just shaking my head.
But they're combining Brian Michael Bendis. You see the Prowler? You see he's gonna be in there?
It's unnecessary to do that. Just let's do Miles Morales' story. Why do we need to involve all these other things?
I do also agree with that. Like that was not necessary.
That just seems lame. To me, that seems that you're not confident enough in Miles Morales.
Yeah.
I would have liked it.
That's what it stinks of to me. Number two is that there was something going on with the frame rate in that thing. It felt very jerky.
Fuck your frame rate.
Not fluid.
Awesome.
Fuck your frame rate.
Fuck your frame rate.
I would say that this thing is still a year out.
Yeah.
So I think they're just
Christmas 2018.
I hope they fix that because that's going to annoy the shit out of me when I watch it.
But, it's got kind of like a Pixar-y, cartoony, but realistic, the way Miles is rendered and designed. I think it looks great. But I do agree, Ruggs. I would have been down if it was just show me Miles Morales and give me his story. You didn't really need to shove in the Spider-Verse. But then I was like, holy shit, Spider-Verse?
Well, yeah, you finally have a black Spider-Man, and now you got like fucking everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is Spider-Man. Yeah.
Who's the talent? Who's voicing? Oh, that's right. Liv Schreiber's in here. Mahershala Ali is voicing Aaron Davis. Shamik Moore from The Get Down voicing Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and Brian Tyree Henry voicing his dad. I think it looks sick because I think you could do a lot of crazy shit, obviously, in an animated movie. And it looks.
What do you think of the new uniform with the spray paint? That
I thought was weird because his mask is very accurate, but then he's got like a graffiti sprayed spider.
It's not even. I don't think it looks cool. I think that they could have done a better spray paint design than that.
Yeah,
you know what I do kind of like.
Yeah,
I like that he's wearing like Nikes.
You see the shoes, you see the Nikes. Yeah. He's got a hoodie on, which looks sick.
I kind of like the Nikes.
Oh, those are cool Nikes. Yeah, you could see him when he's on the side of the building. Yeah,
I think they're like Dunks or I don't know what they are. I'm not a sneakerhead.
That's an actual.
Those are actual Nikes.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
That he's wearing.
I like the details. I just think the shots of the skyline and the city and the purples and the blues.
No, it looks good.
Fucking gorgeous.
Definitely looks good. I just don't like the frame rate and the fact that there's all these other Spider-Men in there.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna have an issue with it.
I knew it. I was just baiting.
I had an idea. Speaking of Spider-Man based stuff, this Venom movie Tom Hardy is shooting. We have a little bit more information about what source material they're going to pull from. The director Ruben Fleischer, who did Zombieland, he said the movie is primarily based on two comic book runs: Lethal Protector and Planet of the Symbiotes. Now, I haven't read either of these because this was like in the 90s when I stopped buying because everything had just fucking super saturated. Lethal Protector was a 6-issue series by David Michelini, Mark Bagley, released in 93. And this was one where you see...
that's the golden era.
That's the golden era. It's right on the cusp. It's right on the cusp. The story sees Venom and Peter Parker agreeing to leave each other alone as long as Venom doesn't commit any more crimes. So he leaves New York, goes to San Francisco. And Tom Hardy has revealed he is shooting in San Francisco. Venom ends up teaming up with Spider-Man to tackle 5 new offspring. This is where the kid comes, right, Anthony? I think Scream, Phage, Riot, Lasher, and Agony were his 5 offspring Venom symbiotes.
They were getting Venom offshoots then.
So Planet of the Symbiotes, 5-issue comic art written by Michelini, published in 95 in the Amazing Spider-Man title. This was about Earth was invaded by an army of symbiotes, and Venom teamed up with Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider to stop them. So I have a feeling it's going to be something like they'll start the movie where they just allude to Spider-Man. You don't see him, and he's like, I'm out. I won't do anything. He goes to San Francisco. Maybe there is a carnage or an army of symbiotes attack, and then he's got to stop them. But there's no Spider-Man in any of this, so I don't know how you even explain the existence of the character. That's what we're gonna get, though.
I got nothing for this.
I was curious. I'm glad we found out
perplexed.
What they're pulling from. I still don't understand how you do this without Spider-Man. I don't get it. We'll find out.
I think it's weird because the status of Spider-Man right now at this very moment, he's a teenager who barely has done anything as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And now he's got a metal armor suit, and there's no reason he would even give a shit about the Venom suit. The Venom suit was cool because there was no fucking armor suit. Like, he had this alien symbiote suit, and that was cool. And at the same time, you knew it wasn't going to last because he was at odds with it.
Well, and the best thing about Eddie Brock Venom was it was adult Peter who was in a relationship with Mary Jane. Venom was the first time his spider sense did not get set off. Eddie Brock knew everything about Peter. He tormented Mary Jane, scared the shit out of her, came to his house. And this is why, it's very personal for Peter, and it always has been. And she was so traumatized. She's like,
so none of that's going to be in the
How
movie.
are you going to build up his character without any of that?
It doesn't matter because this is the same world that we live in where you make Batman versus Superman without the Dark Knight Returns happening. And you make that fight, you take the fight out of that movie and you just put it in a random fucking movie for no reason.
Pull it out and it means nothing.
Yes, it means absolutely nothing.
Disney, go ahead, buy the rest of Sony. Maybe you can clean this up. We got a few more trailers. Alita Battle Angel.
Yes.
This is a movie based off a manga that was turned into a anime, directed by Robert Rodriguez, produced by James Cameron.
Right.
Some great names. I don't really know much about this, so I watched the trailer going in clean, and it's a pretty crazy trailer. It's pretty much they've realized what like an anime character would look like in real life, but her eyes are really big. And they're a little bit creepy.
I don't know if that was the right decision to be made by Robert Rodriguez or James Cameron.
So, Ruggs, what do you know about Alita Battle Angel?
Well, basically, it takes place, in the future. I think in Middle America, like over the Midwest, there's a city that's hovering over where all rich people live, and all of the other people living underneath this thing, are basically. Remember that movie with Matt Damon?
Matt Damon.
What was that?
Which one?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Elysium.
Oh, Elysium, yes.
It's very much the same as Elysium, where that kind of world where there's rich people living on this like plant, on this like thing floating above, and everybody on Earth is like living in a shitty
Lower
life.
class, yes.
And basically, this dude who is basically an Asian dude in the Midwest finds this thrown away robot and like Pinocchio brings her back to life. A bunch of shit happens. It's the robots all over the place doing crazy shit, and action happens.
It looks pretty sick. Anthony, have you seen this trailer?
No.
You watching it?
No.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like I think it's an odd choice to do. Like I could tell you why he did it.
So you have Christoph Waltz, you got Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali again in this. Now, so the anime takes place in the Midwest. Okay, watch it, right? Anime takes place in the Midwest, but like all anime, all the characters have large expressive eyes. So her eyes are really creepy. I understand why he did it, but I think he misses the point of why the eyes are big.
This is interesting.
Because everyone should have these eyes. The reason the eyes are big, everyone has these expressive eyes.
Well, she's a robot, and I think that the robots are designed not to look very human.
Apparently there's other robots in here, and they don't look like her.
Yeah, well, everything is, every product is different, I think. But the idea for the big eyes is, number one, they wanted to realize this anime eye thing in reality, and number two is that they want to stay away from the uncanny valley, right?
Yeah.
because they were 100% going to do this as a CG character the whole time, or even like a mostly CG character, like with a lot of
so it must be
motion capture.
mocap, because there's an actress that's attached to the lead.
Because there's like the guy from Deadpool is in this.
Yeah,
Ed Skrein.
Oh, Ed Skrein is
and he's
he
like
looks weird.
He's like all like green screen, like they mocapped him, and then they or whatever, and they put a different body on him.
Whoa.
So they did basically that kind of same. They were going to do something like that with Alita, and they decided to give her like these big anime eyes, and I don't know if it's really makes sense, but whatever. I'm not really sure that they should have made him a tad smaller.
I'm looking at it now. When I first saw her, I was like, is this like a video game kind of movie?
Right.
But then I'm seeing real characters, so it's taking me... It's going to take a little time to get used to.
Me too.
And
I thought
completely animated character.
I thought the whole thing was animated, but then I was like, "Well, this is live action. What's going on?" It's crazy.
That looks like a anime character.
Yeah. So like, I think it's interesting to see like a fully 3D realized anime character.
Does she look like this, and then everyone else look normal in the anime?
No.
See, that's the thing is in Japanese anime, everyone has all the women have big expressive eyes.
Right.
Well, that's not exactly true.
No?
In the anime, everybody has like different facial features depending on how they want to design them. There's a lot of people do have big eyes, but not everybody. So depending on the character that they're drawing, some of them have smaller eyes, some of them have bigger eyes. But generally speaking, you're right. Yeah, they all have the big eyes like that.
But in terms of the movie, if you were wouldn't you want the robot to blend in and not be like, why is that fucking chick's eyes so big? Like, because it's just
I don't
weird.
know. Listen,
or give everybody big eyes.
It is a weird choice. I know why they did it. I think that they wanted to avoid the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Which is if you make something look too close to human, it looks like
looks off. Yeah.
It looks off. So instead of having it be somewhat off, like
I see. They're making it
like Superman's face.
Yeah, it's obviously off.
Like now it's obviously off, and you're like either you buy it or you don't.
I got it. Looks interesting.
Like it's not like distracting where you're like I can't tell. You're like, okay, this is not a real person. This is a machine. All right.
It's a pretty fun trailer. The movie looks interesting. I will put it in the show notes.
Look interesting.
Right? Looks like some good sci-fi.
I immediately dismissed it. Yeah. I didn't understand. I didn't know what it was. Right. But it does look something. They're trying something here.
And I think it was James Cameron's idea to do the eyes, but Rodriguez and James Cameron. That's a pretty good team.
Well, I'm a little bit like upset that he didn't direct this movie, but now that I see it, I'm like, it's probably better off he did.
Besides, he's shooting 12 avatars. He doesn't have time to direct anything. He's got to shoot Avatar. Next trailer we have is kind of awesome because we have a release date for season 2 of Marvel's Jessica Jones on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. Disney hasn't pulled it off yet. But they're giving us a second season, March 8th, 2018. And it's a real quick kind of teaser trailer, quick shots of her walking around with the camera. She does a cool superhero landing at the very end. But
let's be real and run. This isn't much of a trailer.
It's not. No indication of
this isn't that great.
Walk him off the ledge.
It's her just dealing with her past in the voiceover, but no indication of like what kind of villain can you have after the Purple Man?
Yeah, that's my concern. Is the Purple Man?
You just go the chartreuse gentleman.
Jessica Jones was I really enjoyed Jessica Jones.
Yeah. It's
not
up there.
sure what the direction is and how you top Kilgrave.
You know how
and the trailers for the Netflix shows are always bad.
They don't do much. Quick teaser, but at least we know when we're getting our next Netflix hit.
It's crazy because a lot of people did not like Jessica Jones, the TV show. Critics liked it. Yeah. I liked it. Yeah, Anthony liked it. Yeah.
I liked it.
But general people did not get into it. The great thing is that Defenders showed you Jessica Jones in a fun light where she had the best lines.
Yeah.
And she had like the best remarks. So maybe more people will check it out, but I don't know. I have no idea. There's a lot of interest in it. I know I'm interested in it.
I remember we talked about how Netflix was trying to figure out how people watch these shows, and they didn't really watch. It didn't really add up. Some people would jump around. More people watch this and that didn't equal everyone watching The Defenders. So, but I'm glad we're getting more seasons of Marvel characters on Netflix, and I do love the line at the end where she's like, if you say great power comes with great responsibility, I will throw up all over you. That's pretty funny. That's perfect Jessica Jones. And then finally, a little Game of Thrones news. Found this. I had to throw this in. Apparently,
now that we're Game of Thrones experts,
now that we are been initiated into the Westeros land, into the game. Yes, now we're experts that we just fucking watch the shit.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guy who played Stannis Baratheon, Stephen Delane, had no idea what was going on in the show.
I guarantee you he's not the only one that did that as well. I don't think every guy that acted on the show watched every episode.
Or I don't think the show told people what was happening to fear of spoilers. It says here in an interview with the London Times, Delane reflected on his time as Stannis Baratheon on Game of Thrones, indicating he wasn't happy with his performance on the series. This is a pretty major thing, as Stannis was a vital part of the show for years, first appearing in season 2, becoming a key player in the Game of Thrones until his death at the end of season 5. Delane said that since actors are usually the last to know what's happening on the show, he was largely in the dark, and he had to ask Liam Cunningham, who plays Davos, to tell him what the fuck was going on. He's like, I flicked it on since leaving to see if I could figure out what was going on, but I couldn't. Liam Cunningham is so passionate about the show. He invests in it in a way I think is quite moving, but it wasn't my experience. I was entirely dependent on Liam to tell me what the scenes were about. I didn't know what I was doing until we finished filming, and it was too late. The damage had been done. I thought no one would believe me, and I was rather disheartened by the end. I felt I built the castle on non-existent foundations. That's gotta suck to watch the thing and be like, holy shit, this is the wrong read. I could have done this so much better.
Well,
I just knew what the fuck was going on.
I think he was fine.
He was really good, too.
I was going to say that this is a good chance to comment on Stannis as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever, in my opinion, a standout character.
Yeah.
But he was always solid in his role, and I always was very believed that he was just this very focused king that believed his birthright and had these morals and values.
Whatever they do on that show, whether they hide the stuff or whatever, they manage to get pretty good performances out of all the major players.
Absolutely.
So they're doing something right.
Yeah, they know how to work their actors.
Now, on a sidebar, I know we're about to do some reviews and recommendations, so I have one thing I can recommend.
Okay.
And it's tied to this.
Okay, let's go. We will flow right into the next segment.
And I just saw, I don't know, this is something that you get from the Game of Thrones website, but there's a animated Game of Thrones history of the animated history of Game of Thrones.
Oh.
I guess, what's it called? Here we go.
Oh, I've seen that. I know what you're talking about.
It's the official animated history.
Good.
Yes.
And it has the actors voicing.
Yes, yeah. It tells you all of the story before Game of Thrones happened.
It is very good.
And I never saw that before. Yeah. I never saw that before. I guess they're releasing it as a special or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they do the fall, Robert's Rebellion and all that shit.
All the Targaryens.
And they have the main guy. Yeah, and each one is narrated by a different person, but it's from the show.
I remember I started watching this, but it was before I had gotten through the show, and I was like, I don't know if I should be watching this right now. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this afterwards, but because the animation looked gorgeous, it's really well done. I will put it.
Well, it's not really animated. It's kind of like
moving pictures.
Yes,
a lot of panning shots of pictures and little animation here and there. But it doesn't matter because it's narrated like you're basically. It's an audiobook.
There is another short video. I think I posted on the Facebook group. It was the history of the Targaryens and the Dragon Pit, and it was narrated by Varys and Qyburn, the actors who play them. That was really good. There's a lot of great shit out there. Listen there, if you find some stuff, send it in, post it to the Facebook group. Now I'm all in. I want to see all the backstory and the lore and the history.
I think that could be a really cool show too.
Yeah, well, they got to come up with something else, and they got these.
Even though I know what happens now.
Yeah, well, they got these spinoffs. You don't know how it happened. We'll probably get a spinoff. In this review recommendation segment, I kind of wanted to talk about The Walking Dead just for a brief second.
Okay.
Because
I have not seen the finale, but feel free to spoil it.
Okay, we might.
Spoiler alert.
I haven't watched the last 3 episodes, and you know what, listener? I have no desire.
And this is why I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, because I don't think the show deserves us spending a lot of time on it anymore. It's also suffering. It's like the highest rated show on Sunday on TV, but it's experiencing.
Why do you think people are sticking with it?
But it's got the lowest ratings. It has a 6-year ratings low right now. So people are leaving. The mid-season finale aired, and I'll just look. If you haven't seen it, I don't care. We're gonna cut to they were hyping it. You gotta tune in for this must-watch moment. And what it is lame. It's stupid. Carl off screen reveals that he got bit by a walker. He has a bite on him. That's it. So this is a departure from the comic book. If he's gonna die, and Scott Gimple has said, "Look, this is gonna play out like bites play out on the show." So I guess he's gonna die. There was a thing where his dad posted something saying he got fired, and then he removed it from Facebook. He was calling out the show, and I just think Scott Gimple has kind of killed the show.
Absolutely.
I've watched this season.
The show is not good.
It's annoying. It's frustrating. It's confusing. The Shiva dies. That was kind of cool, but that was very Walking Dead too. Just like in where Bran loses his White Walker, the fucking Ezekiel lost Shiva in the same way. But I don't care anymore. Like Carl got bit. I just didn't care. Who cares? It's bad.
I think that it's just hard to be interested in something that you've been doing for like all of this time. It's like they've been doing the same shit for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, they struggled to get to Alexandria. They got to Alexandria. Then they had all this other shit happen. Now all of a sudden, remember they had those guys that came in there like the wolves?
Yeah. What happened with that? Nothing.
Then the saviors show up. Then the savior shit is happening forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just dragging out, and no one, like, you stop caring. You've already done all your best Negan stuff. You've already done your best Rick stuff. You've done Rick fucking being a little bitch and crying. You've done all of the things that you need to do. And even when you do pick up some steam and have shit happen, you always, you have to set them back again so you can keep the story stretched out.
Yeah, it's just so played out.
You can make more episodes.
There's so many
what
people.
I noticed now watching Game of Thrones, which is amazing, is Game of Thrones always had that thing. Winter's coming. So there was always going to be an end.
Yep.
Like we knew, they were all, even from the beginning, they were like, this when winter comes, that's the last season.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or Walking Dead's never had that.
Doesn't have an end, but in fact
it needs to end.
And I mean, Kirkman imagined this as the zombie story that never ends. So they don't know. I don't think they know how to end it. Also, what I love about Game of Thrones versus Walking Dead is how they slowly give you information about the White Walkers, like real slow. You learn a little bit about them at a time. You don't really see them much. They're so scary, and it's such a looming threat. Like you really feel it. Whereas now, these the Walking Dead, the dead is who cares? This is not a big thing. It's the same shit.
This is the thing. All right, comic books go on for a long time.
Yes,
right. But a lot of those comics, let's say you read Spider-Man, 700 issues of Spider-Man, 800 issues of Spider-Man. Not all of them are winners.
Nope.
There's fucking years that are just complete toilet fires.
Yep.
All the Dan Slott years, for example. But like we're in the toilet years of Walking Dead, that no shit that like should be like a major stuff, but they're ruining it, making it into like mundane shit.
Even the way they shoot it, like it feels like it's on a different network. I don't know. There's something weird about this season. It's either the quality of the film or it just it felt like not the same show anymore, and a much worse show. So I don't know. This is great. This is what Chandler Riggs' father posted. Watching Gimple fire my son 2 weeks before his 18th birthday after telling him they wanted him for the next 3 years was disappointing. I never trusted Gimple or AMC, but Chandler did. I know how much it hurt him, but we do absolutely know how lucky we have been to be part of it all and appreciate all the love from fans all these years. And obviously it was deleted later, but his dad is not happy. He'll probably be in one more episode. Yeah, that was his dad. One more episode when it comes back, because he still has to die. He's just bit. Who gives a fuck? I don't. I'll tell you something that is much better on AMC, also by Robert Kirkman, is this series, Secret History of Comics documentary series.
Is that your recommendation?
Yes, this is one of my.
I recommend it as well.
Yes, it's a dual recommendation. 6 episodes, really well done.
I need to check this out,
dude. It's stories that if you are a hardcore comics fan, you've seen these stories, you've seen a lot of these tapes on YouTube. But to put it in this package, it's really well done with dramatic recreations, original animation, and it's very palpable for like a mainstream audience. It's great.
It's kind of like you've seen all of these documentaries before, 2 hours long, and they're very dry. These are like, these things move really quick, and they give you the same amount of information, surprisingly.
I learned a lot of
without
shit.
dwelling on a lot of stuff.
So 6 episodes. The first one is about Stan Lee, Jack Kirby becoming friends, forming Marvel, which I still think this would make an amazing biopic movie. Yeah. Fucking Bryan Cranston, or not Bryan Cranston, Mark Maron as Stan Lee. I don't know who you get to play Kirby, but it's a great story.
The guy from Ray Donovan, the brother.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
The guy who plays Terry Donovan.
Terry Donovan as Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby. Yeah.
That's a great story. The second episode, creation of Wonder Woman, which is, I think they pulled clips from that movie that came out, the Wonder Woman about William Moulton Marston and how he was kinky and his wife and his mistress and bondage. That was a great episode. The third one, Joe Siegel, Jerry Schuster story of the creation of Superman. The fourth episode, this was neat. Comics after 9/11. It was all about how comics, the tone had changed and how Marvel dealt with the tragedy. Fifth episode about Milestone Comics, the first independent Black-owned comic book studio company that lasted for a few years, went away. They're bringing it back. And then the sixth one was the story of Image Comics leading up to The Walking Dead. Of course, Kirkman's got to be self-serving. The whole thing ends with how big The Walking Dead is, an Image, and the fandom.
So wait, the Image one is all about him?
No, the Image one is about, the 2/3 of it is about the story of Image, how they broke away, how they became rock stars, and then the last act is about The Walking Dead.
Oh.
Which I knew he was gonna, I was like, he isn't in any of them, and I was like, he's gonna show up in one of these. He would not produce this and not be in it.
Right.
But the Milestone Comics one was really good, man. I remember buying Static when it came out because the character wore an X hat, and I wore an X hat.
The Milestone one was the one that I hadn't seen before.
Oh, that was new information.
Like I already know the Image story.
Yes.
I already know the creation of Superman. I already know the Wonder Woman story, and I already know about Stan Lee. Milestone one was like so fresh and new to me because I remember buying Milestone. I remember buying Static and Icon and
Hardware.
and Hardware and Blood Syndicate. So like I remember that they were trying to do something really cool, and that they basically just went away, and I didn't know why. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, I'm like, in my mind, I always thought that not enough people bought the books, so it went away like just like every other book. Didn't sell. But then you find out in this that they were selling. They just wanted to do shit that DC didn't want them to do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
everyone had a falling out and couldn't agree.
It just at that same time, all comics were doing bad.
Oh, that was when the comic bust happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just also a byproduct of that. I think if they would have played ball with DC a little bit more, they probably got treated better.
Well, they're bringing them back into the DC universe now, and really, they were really good books. The art was really good. I love the art for I love the art for all of them.
Yeah, it looked different. It looked like it looked like Valiant comics.
It was a little bit more indie, a little edgier.
Yeah,
quality. It wasn't like they were bad books at all, man. Great stories, great characters, great art. So that's my recommendation. Anthony, you got anything?
As usual, I came unprepared.
That's all right. I got tons more.
I know, but I will say this. If anyone's, any of our listeners are UFC fans, check out Francis Ngannou. He's next challenger for the heavyweight title. He knocked out Alistair Overeem a couple weeks ago. He literally punched him so hard he got off the air. He was elevated off the air.
Oh yeah!
He is a giant heavyweight from Africa.
Wow!
It was transplanted to France, and he only started training in MMA like maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow!
And he is now fighting for the title, and he is a scary
What's
motherfucker.
his name?
Francis Ngannou. Look him up. Francis.
How do you spell
and
that?
Then Ngannou.
Ngannou.
Yeah, he is crazy. This man is a fucking scary motherfucker.
Oh,
he's from Cameroon.
This face he makes in every picture is like, I will eat your brains. Jesus Christ, I will eat your baby.
Yeah, he's
he towers over every fighter he's standing next to.
He's a killer, man.
What are his specs?
That's
What
my-
are his specs?
But he's I think he's 6'4", 260.
6'4", 260, absolutely. French nationality, 31 years, from Cameroon.
Yeah, that's my
Damn,
recommendation.
this
Check
guy-
out his fight against Alistair Overeem.
You think this guy's got a big future?
Yeah, he's the next star.
Oh,
he's gonna be. I think he will win the title. I think he's the next big thing.
Yeah, that guy's huge. I
He's
like
basically
what
like
about his
Mike
persona?
Yeah, what's he like?
Tyson. He's very like I'm gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
He's just very like. I mean, he's English isn't his first language, but he's just an intimidating.
So he's not like a
motherfucker.
showman or anything.
No,
quiet,
he's like a guy he's kind of like Tyson, where he just doesn't talk much, but
he's
comes
just
in and
focused
just
on
kills
beating
you.
ass.
Yeah.
I would smash your face in. Damn, that's a
Yeah.
good pull. All right. I saw The Disaster Artist this week, guys.
In the theater?
In the theater. You guys familiar with The Disaster Artist? So
absolutely.
This is
You're tearing me apart.
yeah,
Did you have spoons? Did you start throwing spoons at the screen?
Apparently, so this movie. Oh, hi, Mark. We walk around the office doing that all the time when we pass by someone. We go, oh, hi, doggy. Oh, hi, Mark. Lisa, you're tearing me apart. Oh, hi, Mark. This is the movie. If you do not know what The Room is, look it up. The whole movie's on YouTube.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I've seen The Room, made by Tommy Wiseau, and I've known about The Room for a long time. It is officially the worst movie ever made, but it is so bad, it's good. They have midnight screenings of this movie. It's turned into Rocky Horror Picture Show. People show up wearing tuxedos and have footballs and have spoons, and they show up and say all the lines to this movie. So The Disaster Artist is about making the movie, written, directed, starring James Franco as Tommy Wiseau and Dave Franco as Greg Sestero, who's his buddy in the movie.
Well, he's the guy, that character wrote the book that this movie's based on.
Franco.
So this dude was like the other character in the movie, and he was just being directed by Tommy Wiseau, and he was just like, yeah, I have to tell this story. I have to fucking write this shit down.
So the movie is told from his point of view largely, and it's a really good movie. James Franco fucking nails Tommy Wiseau. Like, you forget it's Franco sometimes. Now,
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the movie about? It's just the movie is about them making the movie?
Yes, the movie is about the making of The Room. It starts with Greg meeting Tommy at acting class. They become friends. Tommy's like, let's move to Los Angeles. And there's three mysteries. Here's the thing. The movie is really a tribute to this, to tribute to the fandom. This thing is way bigger than anything. If you have not seen The Room, I don't know if you can appreciate or enjoy this movie as much as if you are familiar with the fucking crazy fandom of The Room, because it really doesn't dig into Tommy Wiseau's character. You don't learn that much more. There's three things still nobody knows about Tommy Wiseau: where he's from, how old he is, and where he gets his money. He spent $6 million on The Room.
I know the answer to all of these questions.
Okay, where is he from?
He's from Eastern Europe.
He always says New Orleans. He goes, I'm from Louisiana.
He probably lived in New Orleans for a while, but he's originally from
Eastern Europe is still vague.
Hey, now how old is he?
How old do you think he is?
He's like 58.
In the movie, he tells Greg when Greg's like 20, he's like, I'm your age. Greg, I'm your age. He's like, no fucking way you're in your 20s.
Yeah. He's like 58 or 59.
Where
He's like
did he get
60.
this money? He funded this movie himself. He splurged $6 million on this shitty movie.
Yeah, he did some shady shit.
Because he was just weird. I think it may get an Oscar nomination for Franco. Great performance. I wish they dove into Tommy more, but they don't.
I really want to see this movie, but I haven't been able to yet.
No, it's a good movie. If you love The Room, highly recommended. Check it out. Well done.
I don't love The Room. I've seen it, and I was like, that's a really bad movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would watch it again, but I watch it in clips every once in a while.
If you go to TommyWiseau.com, you can buy his designer boxer briefs. It says Tommy Wiseau across the strap in their boxer briefs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need this?
How many recommendations do you have, Imran?
I watched
I thought we wanted one.
I watched a bunch of shit.
You've got like 6 listed here,
I have
dude.
some more. I watched a bunch of things.
You watched Punisher Warzone for the first time?
Yeah, randomly.
Yeah, why is that in the
I
recommendations?
don't know. That's why I skipped it. Because I randomly, waiting for you to finish Punisher. Have you finished Punisher, by the way?
I have 3 episodes left. I'll have it done.
Okay, waiting for you to
we'll do it
finish.
soon.
I was like, have I seen this movie? I definitely had not seen the movie because I would have remembered this fucking movie. And it's a contender for a What the Fuck Happened episode, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
definitely.
strange fucking
Ray
movie.
Stevenson doesn't talk much, which actually works for the character. And I just want to know, why did you have him spinning around on a fucking chandelier?
I thought that was actually cool.
Spraying guns. No, I was like, what? Yeah, okay.
I didn't like the Jigsaw.
That he was a little.
That was the Joker.
Yeah,
it was like
he was doing a Joker
he
impersonation.
was like a gangster New Yorker Jigsaw.
Like if that was shot in New York and it wasn't shot there, and they didn't have that dude, the Jigsaw guy, it actually could have been a good movie.
I mean, I
feel like that ruined the whole movie. That whole performance.
It's violent. It's brutal, but it's such a weird, darkly comic thing. Like it ends with like Frank shooting a guy. It cuts to black, and then the cop is like, "Oh, I got brains all over me." Like it's just a weird, darkly comic movie. Here's what else is darkly comic that I want to recommend. It's Happy on Syfy with Chris Maloney. I've seen the first 2 episodes. Dude, this is a fucking fun, crazy fucking show. It's like cartoony but violent. Also, did you know on Syfy you could just swear and say motherfucker and fuck and show nudity? And there's a scene where a girl's giving a blowjob to a guy in a inflatable lobster costume. Like, this is a fucking crazy show. I love it. It's very good.
Oh, maybe I'll check it out.
What else you got, Imran? I know you've got 20 more recommendations.
2
here.
more.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I got turned on to Futureman on Hulu. Much like The Disaster Artist, this is a Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg production. They also did Preacher. I think they're half-hour episodes. There's 10. This show is fucking great. It is an adult sci-fi comedy that's like Last Starfighter meets Terminator meets Back to the Future. Lead character is the dude from the Hunger Games, Josh Hutcherson, who's also in The Disaster Artist. Basically, the setup for this is he's a janitor for this lab, and he hates his life, and he's playing this game Biotics that nobody can beat, and he finally beats it. No one's around to see him. He starts jerking off in celebration, and these 2 visitors show up from the future. They're people from the game. He fucking comes all over the guy, and it turns out the game was sent back in time as a training tool to help fight this thing in the future. The scientist creates the perfect cure, and the fucking show is great. It's so much fun. It's irreverent. There's lots of swearing, lots of violence, sex, nudity.
I was thinking of watching this at some point.
I love it. I love it. It's great. And then the last thing. Here we go.
Oh my God.
One last thing I have to.
You're the worst, dude.
I don't care. I'm saying this.
You're terrible.
You're tearing me apart, Imran.
This is terrible.
Zack Snyder,
it's one recommendation, dude.
But
one recommendation.
How about the fact that you fuckers don't come prepared with anything, and I knew that was going to happen, so I put 7 things.
Oh, but this is just an excuse for you to talk.
Yes, it is.
Wait a minute. In defense of me, when you sent me the show notes, and it says in the show notes, have recommendations. I got this yesterday. What am I supposed to watch?
That's plenty
How much
of time.
do I have to watch something?
Well, have you been watching anything?
Yeah, you did. You actually, I mean, not that I would have came more prepared, but you did tell us this yesterday.
I thought you guys just watched whatever you randomly watched.
No.
Okay, last thing, you fuckers.
I like that we're shitting all over this.
I'm just saying, like, I wish I was more prepared, but like I wasn't because I just learned about this the day before.
It happens.
Hi, Tanya. Tell us about that.
So here's the recommendation is there's an episode of the 30 for 30 series, season 2. It's called The Price of Gold. Came out a couple years ago, 2013. It is the story of the Tonya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan incident in the 92 Olympics, but it's told from the point of view of Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding is in this fucking documentary, telling it to you from her own mouth. But when you watch, by the end of this, you feel bad for Tonya Harding. This documentary kind of shows you that she's a victim of her like white trash upbringing. She went from an abusive mom to an abusive boyfriend, really never had a chance to fight the perfect ice princess Nancy Kerrigan, who also came from no money, was a tomboy, but she just ended up graceful. The documentary is amazing. Well, there's a movie out called I, Tonya, where Margot Robbie, Harlequin, is playing Tonya Harding. It's out now. It's only in like 10 theaters, but it's going to open wide. There's a trailer for it. The movie looks amazing. They're calling it the Goodfellas of figure skating. It looks like a crazy crime drama. The story itself is nuts. Like, you can't write a story like this. It's an amazing story. So check out I, Tonya trailer.
Feels like a Coen Brothers movie.
It's totally like a Coen Brothers thing where you got dirtbag fucking bodyguard Sean Eckhart and Galooly. And it's weird because I remember a lot of this, but you remember it kind of from the Nancy Kerrigan angle.
They've done a pretty decent job of making Margot Robbie look like white trash.
Right? She's still, the movie is a slightly attractive more people than the documentary, but she looks like white trash. She looks dressed out. I think she may get an Oscar nomination for this, her performance as Tonya Harding. And really, just you feel bad for Tonya, which is an amazing
But Anthony, would you still hit it?
Oh, yeah.
Tonya Harding back in 92, would you hit
white
that?
Trash, white trash, Margot Robbie, definittle yes. And what about Tonya Harding?
Would you hit?
Oh, Tonya Harding herself?
Yeah,
oh,
then?
God, no.
No, not even then?
No, that girl, you need safe words around her.
She's crazy.
She is crazy.
She is a firecracker, and she doesn't hold back.
Things are going up my asshole that I don't want.
Oh, shit.
Listen, you get that in the documentary. She's like, I don't give a fuck. It's like, this is bullshit. And you feel bad because Nancy Kerrigan went on to do lots of shows and ice capades and get paid.
You feel bad?
Yeah, I feel bad for Tonya Harding, man. She still didn't get shit. And the irony being that
she beat someone up.
Yeah, come on.
She did not have anything to do with that. She was not involved. She knew about it afterwards. That's what she actually got arrested for, is the fact that she knew about what happened afterwards and didn't tell anyone. Right. She claims that she did not have any knowledge of this happening.
That was like her friend,
it was fucking Galooly and the fucking his friend who was the bodyguard, Sean Eckhart. And,
right.
Yeah, and then Nancy Kerrigan was like a bitch to her in that last fucking competition.
All right, read some emails.
Okay. Wrapping up, feedback.
Let's transition.
Yeah.
We got to
please, Imran's
recommendation segment.
It was my recommendation segment. I had a lot of random shit I wanted to tell people about. We got a Facebook message from listener Joe St. John. First time we've heard from him. Hey, I'm a new listener, but I've been really enjoying listening to your stuff. Keep it up. Found it really refreshing to hear a different review on Ragnarok after all the praise it's received, as all MCU movies do, as no one else was seemingly bothered about how the movie was dominated by humor and pointless jokes. Despite some of them making me laugh, I felt it messed up the continuity of the MCU, especially this close to Infinity War, but it also had such a different tone to the preceding two Thor films, and with that does not feel like a trilogy.
Yeah, Joe, you're right.
We agree, Joe, and I'm glad you found it refreshing because everyone was just fucking jizzing all over the movie. And I'm like,
it wasn't a bad movie.
It wasn't a bad movie, but like
needed a check. It needed to be checked.
Needs to be checked.
You know,
that's a good point.
Odin dies, and you make a joke right afterwards. Come on, yeah. I mean, you got to rein it in. Less is more when it comes to that kind of comedy.
Chickadee, check yourself
before you wreck the movie. And then finally, Matt Delhauer tweets, favorite part of this week's episode, Anthony bashing audio drama fiction podcasts, forgetting he was in a fictional musical.
Yeah, with a gun pointed to his head. Come on.
Yeah. Wait, let me
explain why that, yeah.
I was committed to something without being asked.
Yes,
by guess who?
Yes. I told him, yes. I volunteered both Ruggs and Anthony, and we had a great time. It turned out great.
It was fun. It was a fun time, but I never agreed to doing it.
But there are a lot of really huge audio drama podcasts. It's a big genre in the podcasting field. Welcome to Night Vale. You never heard of that? The fucking thing's huge. They're going to get a TV show.
I just like that Matt. That's Matt's favorite part.
That was his favorite part. All right, fuckers. We're done for this week. We'll have more news and reviews for you next week.
Holy crap, Ollie.
Ruggs, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the internets, on Twitter, at ReallyRugBoy. On your phone.
On your phone, hit that. Subscribe to the podcast, listener, and every week we will vibrate your pocket, and Really Rugboy will be waiting for you in your pants.
Oh, shit.
That's what happens when you subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and recommend this show. Share this episode to a friend, word of mouth, spread it around.
Call into all these radio shows and say Jock and Nerd.
Yeah, just instead of
start doing that. Call Howard Stern up. Say Rug Boy, Really Rug Boy.
Let's get some drive-bys instead of fucker in the pussy. Just go Jock and Nerd. Just do one of these on live TV. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, instead of Baba Booey.
Yes. We do Jock and Nerd.
Yeah.
Let's make Jock and Nerd the new Baba Booey Rugs. I like that idea. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
He's the nerd.
We'll hear you next time.
We need like a saying, like Baba Booey.
Jock and nerdy.
Do we have one?
Yeah, you can make one up now.
Like go play with the basketball.
Well, you can, that's that one.
What do we got?
We'll stroke a barbell. No,
Go stroke a barbell.
There you go.
Who cares? A jock said that.
We have.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Jock-tastic.
My spider shits are tingling.
Wait.
My spider shits are tingling.
Yeah.